Okay. Now we've got to let the people know that we're live. God forbid we don't, promote ourselves like vain, egotistical assholes. We've got to let the people know.
Okay.
Is this even working? Oh, it is working. Okay, hold on. Let me just get the link
Do you have
here.
a link you could text me? I can put it on Twitter really quick.
I do, Eric. Let me text that to you. And I hope your followers do the right thing. We're live. Biggest win of the year. Okay, I'm sure people are just being riveted right now by the content. Okay, Eric, this is big. We've got to utilize your celebrity here to really get this thing cooking here. We've been sitting at like I don't even know how many subscribers I have now. Like little less than 800. That's not enough. And so I think we have one viewer right now. I'll just set the stage here. As I said, hey everybody, welcome to SLC Puck Live from Wayne Manor, my basement where I reside. I'm here with my good friend Eric Jensen. I'm utilizing his celebrity. He's the hardest working name in amateur podcasting. As everybody can see right now, he is also a big Colorado Avalanche fan.
Yeah.
Eric is a hockey analyst, though. Eric knows puck real well, so that's why I'm excited to have him on the show. He's going to take game night lives to new heights tonight. First time ever. Eric has been a guest on the show. Eric, is this more exciting than being a guest on traditional SLC puck mediums?
I mean, I personally thrive better when I'm not under a strict time limit.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tendency to talk, so
Yes, you
maybe, but I have the gift of yap, and yeah, I'm just excited to be here, man. And what a great night for you, and really anyone who roots for the Utah Hockey Club, because man, that I just want to get us going here, and I'll let you take us in a little bit more. But that's a pretty big win, and but to me, the most surreal thing is like a year ago, who would have thought that we'd be sitting here talking about a team that plays in Salt Lake City, Utah, is playing against one of the best teams in the NHL
and winning.
And winning. And yeah, that's just really cool. So I'm happy to be here, and I'll let you take it away.
Hey, thanks, Eric. Yeah, we're 2 months and 4 days into the Utah Hockey Club grand experiment. Maybe experiment's the wrong term. It's real deal. It's happening. It's happening in a big way. And I think here's kind of the weird thing, Eric. The Utah Hockey Club right now, they're celebrating a 4-1 win over the Colorado Avalanche in Denver at the Ball Arena, which I can't get used to, by the way. Do you still call it the Pepsi Center?
I call it Ball Arena. I'm a slave to branding.
Do you know what ball? You know what they make? They make like those
Plastics.
Yeah, they make those metal cups. Yeah, which I think are actually kind of cool. I like when I'm at a party and they break out the ball cups. I'm like, oh, these people know how to party and take care of the earth. Gets me excited. But you know what is kind of interesting about this? And yeah, I mean that Ball Arena is where they played, not the Pepsi Center. Utah is playing much better on the road than they have been at home, which I think is kind of an interesting storyline, because I think that when we were kind of getting revved up for NHL hockey here in Utah, and by the way, guys, hop in the chat. I'm going to put some chats up here. And we'll just kind of address these as we go. But I think we all thought that, they're playing in Delta Center. It's going to be the friendly confines. Oh, that's where the Jazz play. And we have such a loud arena and we create such an atmosphere. I think that's certainly true, but it's amazing that this is a team that responds better on the road, it seems. I mean, what is that am I alone in feeling that way, Eric?
No, I mean, that's solid. I'll be honest. I've I've picked and chosen where I've watched Utah Hockey Club games. I've watched them a lot more recently as of this week, the November stretch where they were kind of down. I kind of
think
let
you're
them
the good
have
luck
their
charm, Eric. They've been playing a lot better as of late, and I think it's because they're playing for you. But anyway, continue.
their down bad streak. But I mean, hey, the Colorado Avalanche are going through the exact same thing, and they're one of the best teams in the NHL when they're all playing together. But they have put together a series of incredible road trips, and they have been absolutely terrible at home this year. And it's been hard to win in Ball Arena. So you just never know. I do think that, I've been to some of the games, and it's fun. It's awesome to see NHL hockey here, but they're still working out the kinks. This is still very much, the first time that hockey's here. One thing that really annoys me about going to those games in person is there's no ushers. So people are just walking in.
I'll say that they've gotten better at that, Eric. They have the stop signs now at the top of the whatever the staircases, the portals. They're stopping people now. People are still not behaving very well. I think a lot of people are blowing past them, standing up from their seats while play is going on. I do see that still, but hey, let's not throw these poor ushers under the bus. Okay, they're getting better. Okay. I think you'd be happy to see that.
Yeah, I also think the Utah goal horn sucks. Like, that's been my opinion.
What about the music? People are like really pissed off about the music.
They're so clearly trying to have a goal song, but no one has ever actually introduced how it's supposed to sound. So they put up all these, say on the screen, but there's no rhythm to it. They should put out a social clip where
you think they need to educate people on how to do this? You think this should be part of the pregame show? Should be like, hey, this is what we're doing, everybody. When we score, this is the cheer. This is not a democracy. We're not voting on this. We're the dictatorship. We've decided this is how we're going to do it.
That is one of the unique things about hockey is every team, when you score at home, has a goal song and a great song that goes with it. Now, of course, the best goal song in the NHL belongs to the Chicago Blackhawks when they play Chelsea Dagger, and the entire arena all at once erupts in which is fantastic to see on the broadcast. And that's what Utah is going for, but no one knows what to sing. No one knows what the song is or how it goes or where the chanting parts are. So they need to really get that together.
I mean, what song would you pick, Eric? I mean, you're the expert. You've been to plenty of hockey games. What would get you revved up after a goal? And I'll say, and while you're thinking about this, I'll just add, I think a big part of this is probably just the lack of branding, right? We know that Utah Hockey Club is the temporary name. It's the Band-Aid, so to speak, just to cover the wounds. I don't know why that is my metaphor I'm choosing, but I think when we get the name, which I am going to maintain my stance is probably going to be Yeti, I think you'll see the Delta Center experience change in a big way. But what's your nomination for goal song?
That's tough. That's why I don't work for the Utah Hockey Club. I don't have an answer for that question.
Let's be honest, Eric. There are many reasons why we don't work for the Utah Hockey Club, and don't think that I do either. By the way, but they are not. They are not. They like me, but I don't know if they love me. So,
but let's talk about the game. I mean,
here's my first question, okay? And I think this is probably a real question. I know you're not following the Utah Hockey Club super closely, but you were probably aware that they started the year with a different number one goaltender, right? Connor Ingram.
Yes.
Is there any possibility that he ever? I mean, I think maybe he resigns himself to the bench at this point, but I think Utah's proving they can live without him.
Goaltending
without him.
Goaltending in the NHL is a fickle beast. I mean, you look at the tale of Alexander Gorgiev a guy the Avs traded for 2 years ago who came in, played some pretty good hockey, got him to the playoffs, was one of the most winning goaltenders in the NHL, and this year has a save percentage of under 88%, which is just not NHL level.
I'm going to pull some stats here, Eric, for us to look at. Keep going.
Unless you have one of the elite guys, goaltending is a fickle beast in the NHL, and you kind of just got to ride the hot hand sometimes. And right now, Vejmelka, Veggie, I love the nickname. To me, he's the number one star of this game for them. If Nathan McKinnon doesn't get a cheap kind of screen snipe at the end, this is a shutout for Veggie as far as I'm concerned. He made a ton of really high quality saves. He stopped a lot of high danger chances. Like this guy's a good goalie, and he's put it together for a few weeks now. And that's ultimately where success in the NHL comes from. If you can defend well, which that's the other thing that Utah did extremely well tonight, is defensive sticks, defensive plays, being in the right spot, having good.
It's guys that aren't like trying to do too much, right? They're just in the right position. They're getting their sticks in the passing lanes. They don't need to be superstars. They just need to be at home, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think, and it's an interesting storyline that's kind of developed because, going into the year, the big question was, defense. They're so thin on defense. And how are they going to live without Dursey because of the injury? And how are they going to survive this? And I mean, I've come away after watching this team for probably the last week or two extremely impressed with two guys. I think for me, I was looking for a favorite player on this team, and I think I have him. And that is Michael Kesslering. Michael Kesslering is a hell of a defender. He skates extremely well. He moves the puck well. He takes care of his defensive responsibilities. Is he a guy that's special offensively like Cale Makar? No, but no one in the NHL is, basically. He is a good puck-moving defenseman that can play offensively and defensively sound. And I think he's played extremely, extremely well over the past few weeks. And then you look at Juuso Välimäki, who, yes, is he an elite defender? No, but he's a good second pairing guy who's not going to be a liability. And I do think that I look at the pairings on this roster, and like they have something here. Ian Cole is a solid vet who does what he's asked and isn't a liability. Mikhail Sergachev has had a really, really good year. Mm-hmm. Like they have a very solid defense core and something to build on for the future. That is not a spot where I look at this team and say they need a ton of help, because I think that's been a strength for them over the past month or so. I think they've been a really sound defensive team. Now, you have nights like Minnesota, right, where they're just young, you know, Austin. Like this is, as Bill Armstrong likes to remind us, this is a rebuild still. And with nights like Minnesota will come nights like this where they understand, hey, we have to lock in for 60 minutes against these top teams or we are going to get beat. And that is what they did tonight. They played a solid game from start to finish. They got their goals. Were they kind of wacky and funky? Sure. It wasn't the prettiest scoring night of all time.
Oh, no. I hope.
But
you glitched for just a second, Eric. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. No, the goals were a little whack is what you were saying.
Goals were a little wacky, but I mean, you got your scoring and the defense played solid and you had great goaltending. This was the most complete performance of the year. It's a huge game against a team that you're in a playoff race for, because the Avs, despite being a really good team, have struggled this year because of the goaltending and are in a position where ultimately they're probably going to be fighting for a wild card spot. And, Utah kept themselves in the playoff hunt, and they need to keep hanging around these kind of 3 to 4 spots under that wild card spot until, Valentine's Day. And if they can do that, they have some assets. They can make some moves at the trade deadline, and then you never know. They could make a push down the stretch run. But to hang around like that, they need games like Philly, where they go on the road and beat other teams that are fighting for playoff spots. And they need nights like this where they go into an extremely hostile opposing barn of a really good and traditional Giant, and they take it to them and they win. And that's what they did tonight. And I think it's extremely promising for, the future of the team. Are they there this year?
Eric, I feel like if I don't stop you, you could talk for probably 4 hours.
Yeah.
Just go on a 4-hour long monologue. That would be great content, by the way. It would be the best hockey analysis anybody who watches this channel would ever get. Because I agree with you wholeheartedly. Listen, Eric, I've been wanting to interject 4 times because I think you've made like 5 great points that I really want to build on. This is the Eric Jensen experience, everybody. Eric will say one brilliant thing, and you're like, "Ooh, I want to get on that." Ooh, and then it's like, okay, then he just so seamlessly segues into the next. Ooh, Eric is. By the way, I say this with so much love, everybody. Eric Jensen is an absolutely brilliant sports analyst. So if you're not following him right now, I hope you do. But I love the crystal ball you were setting is super cool to think about. It got me excited because when you think about if they're in the hunt, down the stretch after Valentine's Day, guess who also gets back in the lineup? Maybe, hopefully, Sean Durzi. And I think he might be the missing piece that they have that's kind of lacking in this defensive group. And what I mean is I think the power play has been better as of late, but I think it's that second minute of the power play when Mikhail Sergachev is on the bench getting his rest. They have someone else playing that point position. I think that's the need that is most prescient for this team, I think. And I think when they get Durzi back to run that second power play unit on the point, I think things are going to just blast off for the Utah Hockey Club when that happens.
You don't think Kesslering can be that guy?
I think that there's a different zip that Durzi brings to it. But I think you make a good point. Kesslering has a really nice shot. I think when you get pucks on net the way that he can and does, I think that there's something to it. But there's just something I liked so much about the way the power play was humming to start the year, and it kind of feels like when Durzi went down and he was missing from that second power play unit, things changed a lot, and it's taken them a long time to recover. So I want them to go back to the way they were at the very beginning of the year on their power play.
I will say this. The power play has improved drastically.
Big time, for sure.
2 weeks ago, I would say it was one of the worst power plays I think I have ever seen. And this, incapable of getting into the offensive zone with the advantage, and they looked very competent tonight, and they got the goal. So I think they're really improving.
Here's what's weird about that, Eric. The Utah Hockey Club is actually the worst power play unit at home. The Delta Center power play ranks 32nd.
Yeah, I went to that Capitals game, and I was disgusted by what I watched. It was truly horrific hockey.
Is that because you saw me on my date when I was sitting in the lower bowl with the girl who dumped me a couple days ago? Is that why you were disgusted?
Oh no!
You're like, oh, Austin's too into this. He's cruising for a bruise, and that was I'm sure that might have been disgusting.
No. That's certainly not it. And don't be so down on yourself, man.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
There's someone out there for you. Don't get down on yourself.
That's why I had you on, Eric. I appreciate that, man. But I think, tell me right now who we're 2 months into the Utah Hockey Club season. I think it's glaringly obvious that Mikhail Sergachev has been the team's MVP, considering what has had to be asked of him in terms of the workload he's carrying. So I don't want you to contest me on that, Eric, because I know I'm right. But who do you? Okay. You're so obedient too. I love that. I got to get you on more often. By the way, Do you know anybody I could date as well? If you could line me up with somebody, that'd be great. But
maybe
anyway, my question was going to be like, who do you think has been Utah's best offensive player this year? And I think it comes down to a few guys, but who has impressed you the most on offense this year?
That's tough. I think one thing that they are missing is a true offensive game changer. I think you have a lot of common NHL kind of parlance here. I think you have a lot of top 6 guys, but they're probably all figuring into that kind of second line conversation.
Right.
This team does not have, you look around the division, this team does not have a Kirill Kaprizov. This team does not have a Nathan McKinnon. Yeah. This team, does not have a Steven Stamkos even, or for that matter, Winnipeg's kind of doing it by committee right now. So they're a tough one to bring in. But I've been impressed by, kind of the big 3, Clayton Keller, Dylan Guenther, Logan Cooley. Gunther's game, I'm not as head over heels for him as a lot of the fan bases. I think Cooley is the best offensive player they have. But they're just missing something. And that's something where what I'm talking about, if they're hanging around and they think we can be a playoff team this year, and they have all these first-round draft picks heading in to the offseason, it's time to go, semi-big name hunting at the deadline. If a guy like, say, for example, Boston has fallen apart this year. The Bruins have fallen apart. You are hearing guys like Brad Marchand, Chris Kreider. These are names that are being thrown out in trade talks. And if you could add a Chris Kreider or a Brad Marchand to this roster, it would change the entire outlook of the franchise.
That's kind of fun to think about, like what Marchand would do for that locker room too. Because they talk so much about, he's a rat. People hate playing against him, but people love playing with him. I think I've heard so many stories that he's just like an incredible teammate.
Incredible player, incredible teammate, NHL vet. Same with Kreider. I don't want to say this, and this is, you'd have to sell the entire farm and maybe some of your young pieces too, but Mikko Rantanen's up for a contract this year from the Colorado Avalanche, and he's asking for close to $14 million, which the Avs just don't have in cap to pay him.
A little bit of a rental situation there.
So there's potential there. And that's what all these big NHL trades are. They are all rentals. But Utah's in a different spot where they have a lot of cap space. So if you get a rental, you get them here. Players love it here already, is the general vibe.
You take them to Top Golf, you take them to Crown Burger, you take them to all the Salt Lake City haunts.
Yeah, I'm telling you, getting a vet at the trade deadline might be the move this year to add someone to this, kind of core roster, and then you can kind of go out in free agency and say, hey, we have this vet here now and some promising young players, maybe we pick up another defenseman, and it becomes, the turnaround can be really quick. But to have those conversations, you have to win games like this.
Yeah. No, I'll throw out a crazy thing. It's never going to happen, but I do wonder if you're going to see a lot of guys moving around at the trade deadline. I've watched on the NHL Network. There's been serious discussion that Sidney Crosby might be interested in departing the Pittsburgh Penguins to kind of.
Well, he's a future Colorado Avalanche, so I wouldn't.
That would be like Ray Bourque 2.0, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't get your hopes too high up on that one. We're about to sell the future for Sidney Crosby at the trade deadline. But no, Crosby's an interesting guy to watch as well. I think
I mean, you're just right. There's so many teams who like they're just like have fallen short of expectations. It's time to start a fire sale. I think another team that you have to look at is probably Nashville.
Yep.
They're cellar dwellers. They were kind of preseason media darlings.
Is a guy like a Marchessault with who's under contract, is he available? Like, he would add a huge boost to this team scoring output. You know, is a vet like Ryan O'Reilly available? Is a Stamkos type available?
Sure.
Like there are players to be had at the deadline, but again, to be in those conversations, you have to keep winning. Because if it looks like those picks are going to convey into high lottery picks, you might as well just take the draft controlled assets and continue building it up the slow way. But if you think you can make a push, you know, there's some room to make a deal or two.
You know who the guy is that like has been in trade discussions the last few years that like I wonder if his time is numbered. I don't know if he'll make too much of an impact. He's kind of more of like a social media phenom than anything. Is a guy like Trevor Zegras, I think could be kind of interesting. I don't know if he fills the need that the hockey club like has, but
I don't know.
I think that's kind of an interesting one.
To me, he's more name than game.
For sure.
I
would get a Trevor Zegras jersey though. If they acquire him,
I'd stay away from all Trevor Zegras related purchases. I think if he was really a game changing player,
NHL 24.
Yeah, if he was really a game changing player, the Ducks would be winning a lot more than they currently are right now.
Yeah.
So you know they have some young pieces, sure, but you know Utah's winning these games. Anaheim is not. You know, so that's kind of where this falls.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I do think Bill Armstrong talked about that too coming into the season. He's like the indicator you're going to see that we're starting to take this really serious and going for it is when we cash in on our assets and make the trade. And does that happen year one? Do they want to be more patient than that? I think that's definitely something to watch for sure.
How do you feel about the December stretch? Because to me, it looks manageable. You have some tough road games. You have at Minnesota, but you've got some big opportunities at home. The Dallas Stars come in. The Colorado Avalanche come in. You go to Seattle. Like I say, if you can get through this next kind of 6-game stretch, if you can get through at 500, maybe even 4-2, you're in a pretty good spot heading into the new year. That's at least the thought I have with this team. If they want to take that next step forward, if you're 3-3, hey, maybe you hold on to those assets. But if they sneak out and steal a win here or there, and they're 4-2 over this next 6-game stretch, like you're talking about a team that's just not that far out of a playoff spot at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see, you know, them really get up for the Sharks game later this week. I think they play the Sharks on Saturday.
Yep,
I believe. And, you know, they had that horrendous loss to San Jose early in the year. They blew a 4-1 lead. So I think you'll see them get up for that. I think that's been circled on the calendar for quite a while. I tell you what, I am like excited for this team to play Minnesota. And I talked about this on my most recent episode. I think those are the games that Clayton Keller really gets up for because they're playing against, Bill Guerin. He's the general manager of the Minnesota Wild. Bill Guerin also picked the Team USA for the Four Nations Cup and chose not to put Clayton Keller on that team, despite the fact that he's a 4-time NHL All-Star. I think you saw Keller get pissed off in that game against Minnesota, and I think him putting 2 on the board against the Wild was kind of his way of, shoving it up Guerin's butt, so to speak. So I feel good about the stretch. And, yeah, I think, again, playing a team like Seattle, who's been struggling all year, I think it looks really good. I think you can be really optimistic about where they'll be in January. What else you got for me, Eric? Give me a softball. Give me something easy. Give me an easy one.
Okay. I just want to, because one thing I listen to the pod when I can. one thing I'd like you to do a little bit more
Okay.
is kind of introduce all these new fans more to the NHL. So I'd like to just go over. I think tonight was a big night in the Western Conference.
Okay.
And I kind of just like to go over the scoreboard really quick and just put some teams on people's radars, because I mean, yeah, it's fun to watch the Utah Hockey Club, and that's great, but ESPN Plus is included in the Disney bundle, and I assume if you live in Utah, you probably have the Disney bundle. And all these games are there. So, it's worth checking out the NHL on nights when Utah doesn't play, because it's a fun, exciting league, and it's going to be more entertaining than watching the NBA, guys. Like, let's just be real. So,
Eric, I think you're just implying that we're all just a bunch of Disney adults here, that we have nothing else going on in our lives but a sick obsession with Disney and Mickey Mouse. That we might as well leverage that into some sort of greater appreciation for the NHL. Is that what you're trying to say?
Facts, 100%. Okay. Could have said it better myself.
By the way, there's a Mickey Mouse poster right there. Continue.
I think tonight you saw some statements in the Western Conference. One, the Golden Knights go to Winnipeg and get a win in overtime. I know they're in a separate division, but the Golden Knights, pound for pound, might be the best team in the Western Conference. They are really deep. They have a really good defense core. Jack Eichel is playing out of his mind this year as a distributor. Like, he's one of the NHL's assist leaders, and they've got some decent goaltending. The Jets have slowed down considerably. This is a team built on elite goaltending and a lot of depth scoring. But, man, that doesn't always pay off. And I wonder if they're aggressive at the deadline to get another big-time scorer, because there are nights like this where you could really use one. The other big thing that just screams from the page on this night is Edmonton. Edmonton's in a similar position as the Colorado Avalanche. They've struggled with goaltending. If you're a new hockey fan, do not let the fact that they're out of a playoff spot right now or barely clinging onto one fool you. This is one of the best teams in the NHL.
This is the trick they played last year as well, and they ended up being one game away from winning the Stanley Cup.
They steamrolled Minnesota. They always start slow. This is around the time between now and New Year's they will start to play their best hockey. And mark my words, sometime between now and January 15th, we will be talking about the Edmonton Oilers being on a 10-plus game winning streak that has the NHL in absolute shambles. This is coming. So keep an eye on them. And then Nashville made a statement tonight that they are not quite dead yet. They need to start winning.
Give it another week.
But to win in Dallas, that's impressive.
I'll give them that.
There's a long way to go for them, but they've got to get some wins. And it's just, the Central is so tough. It really is. Minnesota's a good team. Dallas is a good team. Winnipeg's a good team. Hell, I mean, the St. Louis Blues have played really good hockey of the past 2 weeks. It's going to be a very, very tight division race, and just, keep an eye on. If you just want to get more into hockey, pick another Central team, whether it be Colorado or Dallas, and just watch a game or two of them a week and kind of cycle through the Central teams, and eventually you're going to see some of the biggest games in the NHL, because it's just a loaded division.
Yeah. Well, Eric, hey Jeff, I'm just pulling up some comments here. Jeff, we talked about this just to start the show. We'll just recap. Can you see that, Eric? Jeff's comment?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think Veggie was, spectacular tonight, and he's been really good over the past few games. It's all about consistency. Can he remain consistently this good? And if he can be a guy that's allowing, if his goals against average is somewhere around 2 to 3, and his save percentage is somewhere between 92 to 94, you've got a really solid goaltender there. Those
Now,
are
what's
kind
the
of the
number
numbers
between
to look
92
for.
and 94 for those of our fans?
93.
93. Love that. That's my favorite number, by the way. Eric, man, it is such. Eric, are you gonna stick with me for another couple minutes? I know you're getting a little sleepy. I can see you yawning. Wait, that's me. That's me who's doing that.
No, I'm here. It's your show, man. You tell me what you want to talk about next.
Okay,
but I'm happy to hang around for a second.
I'm gonna keep you up all night because you're giving everybody a lot of great stuff here. Let's just go through the rest of the NHL really quick. Looks like the Canucks are up on the Panthers 3-0. That's I think the Panthers are probably not quite where people thought they'd be to start the year, especially as
this is just an off night for the Panthers. The Panthers have been, I would say, one of the Eastern Conference's best teams. This is just an off night for them, and Vancouver's really starting to hit a stride right now. This is a tough trip to Vancouver from Florida. Like, this is just a tough NHL road loss. I wouldn't read too much into this one. Florida's going to be fine.
Kraken are up on the Bruins right now, 3-1. They've got about 13 minutes to play in the third period.
That one I would read into. The Bruins are not a good hockey team this year.
Fire sale time.
They are, in fact, a very bad hockey team, and they don't really belong in the playoff conversation.
I wonder how much of their struggles have to be attributed to the fact that it took them forever to get the Jeremy Swayman deal done. Missed all
vibes just never were right there.
Never, not at all. I think, like, when you go into like a contract this discussion and impasse, I think things get said and feelings get hurt, and the vibes get off big time. And I think goalies are particularly sensitive to that kind of thing. So, and hey, I would be too. I don't blame them at all. How about this? Pittsburgh beat the Canadiens 9-2. It's quite the score. Canadians suck, by the way. I think Martin St. Louis is going to get fired.
So do the Penguins. So this game, this it's
a toilet bowl.
Good for Sidney Crosby to have a nice night, but 9-2. I mean, the Canadians are a team in a rebuild that probably need to restart or rebuild. A lot of teams like that in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Speaking of the Eastern Conference, New Jersey Devils beat the Los Angeles Kings 3-1. Do you have a liner on that one, Eric?
Devils really good. Jack Hughes playing extremely well. Had a goal tonight, 2 assists.
Gotcha.
Devils are better goaltending this year. They're in a race for that Metropolitan Division. It's going to be really fascinating to see between them, the Hurricanes, and the Capitals who comes out on top in that division.
All right, here's another score for you. Philly 4, Detroit 1.
Yeah, 2 words. Matej Michkov. Now, I may have just butchered that.
Young pronunciation is not our strong suit here on SLC.
Young,
don't worry about that.
Stud, rookie, Russian, defenseman. Maybe the closest thing in the league to Cale Makar. This kid is going to be a problem. And they are. Can
you say his name again for me, Eric, one more time?
Matej Michkov.
Did not dress.
I believe did not dress tonight, but nope. He's been one of their better players over the past month or so. So they're playing extremely well. Flyers are kind of a team to keep an eye on. Probably not there this year, but they've got some intriguing pieces moving forward.
How about the Washington Capitals? They have a really impressive record right now, 26-2. They just beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in overtime tonight, 2-1.
Yeah, and they're doing it as a team. They don't have a stud scorer anywhere on the roster now that Alex Ovechkin is out.
Thank you. Yes.
they've got really solid goaltending. Their defense is good. They're really well coached. I think they're a fantastic team, and I'm interested to see what they do come playoff time. I don't know if I believe in them as a Stanley Cup contender, but they are a very good NHL team right now.
All right, here's a very ho-hum matchup for you. In the Islanders Blackhawks game tonight, the New York Islanders prevailed 5-4. So,
did Connor Bedard score?
Did Connor Bedard score? He did. He scored the first goal of the game for the Blackhawks. Yep.
All you want to see is he has had a slow start to the year. All you want to see is Connor Bedard start scoring. Blackhawks are far away. They're really far away. They lucked into a great pick in Bedard, but they are far away from being a team that matters in the NHL. But the Islanders are just the Islanders, a traditionally downtrodden franchise that they're fun to watch. They're kind of gritty. They're going to be in the playoff mix, but this is not a team that ultimately matters in the NHL.
Speaking of another team that kind of lucked into a great pick, the San Jose Sharks, they beat the Blues tonight 4-3.
They're playing better. Macklin Celebrini is playing really, really well right now. Andrei Kovalenko, their new addition from the Avs, had 2 assists tonight.
Celebrini with 2 goals as well.
They've got Georgiev in net, which that's probably going to go poorly for them. But they have become fun since Celebrini has gotten back into the lineup. They're a fun young team to watch.
And a fun old team to watch that I guess has not been that fun to watch. The Nashville Predators. I think you just mentioned they beat the Dallas Stars 4-1. I'm just going down the line here. The scores.
I think we covered everything except this.
No. There's one game we didn't cover, Eric. Excuse you. I know you're trying to get to bed, but excuse you. I still need to get your insight on the Tampa Bay Calgary game.
I was about to bring this up.
8-3.
The Tampa Bay Lightning. I know we have a lot of football crossover here, probably. The Tampa Bay Lightning are your Baltimore Ravens, your Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that has gone through so many generations. John Cooper is one of the best coaches in the NHL, and no matter who they have, no Stamkos, revamped forward group, it does not matter. Nikita Kucherov is an MVP candidate, in my opinion.
Do you want to hear a stat line tonight?
Yeah.
1 goal, 5 assists.
5 assists. Jake Gensel is starting to score the puck. Andrei Vasilevsky is one of the best goaltenders in the league. You cannot tell me otherwise.
By the way.
This is one of the best teams, hands down, in the Eastern Conference, and this is, I would put them high up on my list of cup contenders.
Interesting. And maybe they were right to not give Stamkos the deal he was looking for, and said, "We'll be okay without you. Go ahead, go to Nashville. Go ahead, see how that works out for you." What else can you surmise from that, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Let me give you really quick just teams I think right now on December 12th can win the Stanley Cup.
Let's hear
it. The Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, the Dallas Stars, and hell, I mean, if they get the goaltending, the Winnipeg Jets. I think those right now are your very clear kind of top 8 cup contenders.
I noticed you did not include the Avalanche in that group.
I guess I'll finish with a little bit on the Avalanche. The Avalanche are what they are, which is a wild card team right now. Yes, they have impressive scoring. The depth is better than previous years, but they just totally revamped their goaltending room, and it's a mystery. Is Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood, are they the answers? Can they keep it at 2 goals a game?
Are there other guys with the word wood on as the suffix of their name that they can bring into? That's another question I think they're asking.
Actually, Miles Wood is one of our depth forwards.
That's hilarious.
We have cornered the market on Wood in the NHL. That has been a common meme.
They got Wood over there NHL. In Denver, so to speak.
Big time Wood. The Avalanche are a good team. If the goaltending improves, sure, they can be a cup contender. But they need to stop having nights like this where they're one of the top teams in the NHL and you let a team that was viewed as a rebuilding team come in and dominate them from start to finish. They were dominated. This was Utah's, and that's why I'm high on this for Utah. This was Utah's best game,
and not just because you're big on Colorado and you're smoking marijuana, but again, literally high as in buying their stock. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, but this was a huge win for Utah Hockey Club tonight. The Avs had a winning streak going, but it's just this is kind of how the season is gone. They go on these road trips and they get momentum, and then they come home and they lose 2-3. And then the momentum's gone. So
it's funny. You could also be describing the Utah Hockey Club in that same sentence too.
Yeah, they got to find a way to win at home. They're going to have a chance to against Nashville. The schedule softens up a little bit, but I mean, these two teams play each other again pretty soon. The 27th, they're back on together, and that'll be a really interesting one to see. Nationally televised game, ESPN2.
Oh, Eric's lagging. Let's see if we can get Eric back.
Oh, shoot.
Eric, sorry, I lost you for just a second. Here we go. You're back.
Sorry. I apologize.
Don't worry. It wasn't like you were doing an embarrassing face either when it froze. You didn't look like this.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You look cool. Don't worry.
No, my this is terrible laptop angle. You have a beard. I can't hide the double chin. So
that's all this does, by the way. I've had this beard for 8 years. I'm terrified of what's underneath it.
So yeah, but no, I mean, Avs just need to start winning at home and see what happens. Are they a playoff team? Yes, obviously, but can they do anything in the playoffs? That's yet to be seen. They've struggled against. If you can't beat the Utah Hockey Club at home, like there are some questions to be asked.
For sure, and I mean, you got to want. I mean, they also had a nice little run. They won a Stanley Cup a couple years ago. I mean, you feel like they might need to start making some big calls, going for some big swings while they still have Prime McKinnon and Makar still on a relatively affordable deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Eric, it's been a pleasure to have you. Eric, I want you to come on more because I think you bring something that I cannot to this program, which is really good, league-wide analysis. So if you're up for it, I would like to have you on more often, my friend. Not just the nights when the Avalanche are playing, the Utah Hockey Club, but I think if we can get more Eric Jensen, the better. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. That sounds good. To me, really, the best time for me is once we get out of the middle of football season, once we get to January and we get those classic kind of Saturday night, everyone in the NHL is playing, those Saturday nights I'm usually around. So
what's up, Eric? I think we got to take this show on the road, I think.
I mean, we could do it from any number of local watering holes.
Absolutely, man. Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody, to this special edition of SLC Puck Live. Super, super happy that my good friend Eric Jensen could join me. Eric's the best. I hope you take this the right way, Eric. Eric is the best sports analyst you've never heard of, and I think you will soon. He's the hardest working man in amateur basement podcasting. He's my inspiration. He's my hero. He's the man. He's Eric Jensen. Eric, where can people follow you?
Oh, you're too kind. Well, you can follow me on Twitter, Eric18 Utah. But honestly, that's dying. I made the
Blue
switch.
Sky. We're on Blue Sky.
I jumped onto Blue Sky the other day,
Is it as awful as like some people make it out to be?
No, it's not, because right now there's no real algorithm to it. So you can just follow things you like, and my entire timeline is
Do they have
just
ads?
NFL clips. That's it. There's some ads, but it's not crazy. Like, this is get on Blue Sky. You can follow me there.
I was so
Eric
happy
18
to get the SLC puck handles on all the social media. I wonder if someone stole the SLC puck handle from me on Blue Sky.
I'm telling you, man, you got to get on Blue Sky. That's what's coming next.
To those of you watching right now, don't you fucking dare get on Blue Sky and take the SLC puck handle from me right now.
But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Eric18Utah. I don't tweet nearly as much as I used to, but a lot of NFL stuff. Check out my NFL podcast, End Zone Podcast, the End Zone Podcast with Eric Jensen. It's a good show, and we're about to hit our busy season. We took a bye this week just to get ready for the stretch run, but we're about to hit back at it. And thanks for having me on, Austin.
Yeah. Hey, and here's an update. I did get the Blue Sky handle. I just forgot about it. I was worried for nothing. So don't worry. We're on Blue Sky. Maybe we'll get something going there. Eric, again, man, appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out Eric End Zone Podcast for all your football needs. NFL playoffs will be starting up here in just a few weeks. College football's playoffs as well. Eric's got you covered on all that. So big props to Eric, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. I know it's not the most sophisticated setup. This costs $45 a month, by the way, to get it looking nice. So you guys need to go buy some effing merch at slcpuck.shop to help finance a better live show. This is getting so expensive, Eric. All this crap people are making me buy to put on this dinky little show for them. It's getting absurd.
That's why I like to remain anonymous. See, I don't. It's never a high budget.
Fame is a beast, Eric, and I got to tell you, my life has changed so much in so many bad ways since I became famous.
You're on the big bad Nash cast, and you've got all kinds of things. You're the newest hockey analyst in this market, man. So I got to be on your good side.
You are, Eric, and somehow I stumbled ass backwards into this. So anyway, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who's helped us make this what it is. And again, big thanks to Eric. We're gonna hop off now, but we love you. We'll talk to you soon.